Russia claims several hundred people, including civilians, have been killed during Turkey's military operation in Syria's northern Afrin region. Ankara launched an air and ground offensive nearly 2 weeks ago to target Kurdish militia fighters, opening up a new front in Syria's multi-sided war. It considers the Syrian Kurdish People's Protection Units, or YPG, an extension of the outlawed Kurdish rebels fighting an insurgency inside Turkey. Turkey's state-run Anadolu agency said 2 rockets fired from the Afrin region on Wednesday hit the Turkish border town of Reyhanli and killed 1 person.
A U.S. passenger train carrying Republican lawmakers to a retreat has collided with a rubbish truck in the state of Virginia. The lorry was straddling the rail track and its driver was killed in the crash. 3 passengers of the train and 2 crew members were taken to hospital for minor injuries. U.S. Senator for Louisiana Bill Cassidy said he, his wife, and other lawmakers who are doctors tended to the injured until emergency services arrived. He called it a scary moment. Some feared it might be a deliberate attack. The spouses and children of some lawmakers were on the train. So was House Speaker Paul Ryan. The National Transportation Safety Board said it was sending a team to investigate the crash. Brazil's former President Lula remains the most popular presidential candidate, even as a conviction on corruption charges will likely bar him from the race. An opinion poll shows that if he could run in the October election, he would lead the field with 34% of the vote. Lula continues to appeal his corruption conviction, which was upheld in court last week. The poll puts him well ahead of his closest challenger, right-wing Congressman Jair Bolsonaro, who gets only 16% of voting intentions. If Lula isn't allowed to run, a record 32% of disenchanted Brazilians say they won't vote for any candidate.
The FBI has issued a rare public rebuke of a top-secret House Intelligence Committee investigating Russia's alleged role in the 2016 U.S. election. America's top law enforcement agency says it has grave concerns about the accuracy of a memo claiming anti-Trump bias within the Justice Department. The Intelligence Committee's Republican chairman, Devin Nunes, has dismissed the FBI's comments as spurious. However, Adam Schiff, the Intelligence Committee's senior Democrat, has now added fuel to the fire. He says the White House received a different version of a classified memo from the one the committee voted to make public. Schiff also claims the Republican memo was intended to set the stage for President Trump to fire Special Counsel Robert Mueller, the man leading the Justice Department inquiry into whether there was any collusion between Moscow and the Trump campaign. For now, the public will remain in the dark until President Trump makes a final decision on whether to publish the memo.
Catalonia has postponed the election of a new president. Spain's highest court said separatist leader Carles Puigdemont, the sole nominee, was ineligible as long as he remains in exile in Belgium. Euronews spoke to 2 experts about what might happen next. The Speaker of the Parliament can postpone the plenary until the Constitutional Court decides whether or not to allow online investiture. Precedent suggests it won't, but we will have to wait and see if the Speaker of the Parliament accepts the Constitutional Court's decision and proposes a new candidate. Then the clock restarts in terms of deadlines. From a legal point of view, when there's a new government, Article 155, which imposes direct rule, is lifted. That's why it's so important for the regional president to form a government, so the institutions can return to normality. It doesn't mean giving up on having a pro-independence president, but returning to the constitutional fold and to political dialogue with the central government, which is absolutely necessary. Gabriel Colomé is professor of political science at the Autonomous University of Barcelona. He expects new elections in Catalonia because of what he says are now clear divisions among pro-independence parties.
Por primera vez se ha visualizado la ruptura, la fractura.
For the first time, we have seen in public the fracture, the divorce between the pro-independence Republican left of Catalonia and Carles Puigdemont's Junts party, between the party of former Vice President Oriol Junqueras and Puigdemont's coalition. We saw this fracture when the Speaker of Parliament decided to postpone the election without notice. It became clear that the ties between these parties are now very much broken. If they try to push him aside, Puigdemont can also block the process, because he has 15 or 16 MPs who can abstain from endorsing a new candidate, who in this case will never get the presidency. So it's either him or we go back to the polls, because it seems he's the one who effectively controls the political direction of the parliament.
The decision of the Speaker of the Catalan Parliament to postpone the election debate has raised tension among separatist parties. Now the leak of text messages from Puigdemont conceding political defeat could deepen the divide.
The Polish Senate has approved a law that makes it illegal to suggest that Poland played any part in the Nazi Holocaust, which took place on its soil during World War II. The law would make the term Polish death camps punishable by up to 3 years in jail. It's already caused a rift with Israel, who accused Poland of attempting to change history. Poland's Deputy Justice Minister disagrees. Research of the past is not threatened in any way. Talking about the past and analysing the past, even the darkest, shameful part of the Polish past, is not threatened. There cannot be any law that will suppress the discussion. This bill is worded that way, that this discussion can be suppressed, here in Poland, but also abroad, and this is the worst fear. The role of Poland in the atrocities has always been a tough topic for the country, which after being invaded by Nazi Germany saw 90% of its Jewish population killed. The move to absolve Poles and the Polish state of that responsibility now has momentum, passing in Parliament with 57 votes to 23.
Anti-government protests in the opposition's heartland in western Kenya. These protesters have never accepted the result of October's election, which their leader boycotted. And on Tuesday, at a mock inauguration, Raila Odinga had himself sworn in as the people's president. This man said that they had taken to the streets in protest at the arrest of senior opposition figures, including one MP who had helped swear Odinga in at the mock inauguration ceremony. He then warned that if they were not released, things would get ugly for the country. The mock inauguration in the capital Nairobi was witnessed by thousands of Odinga's supporters, but it was too much for the government, who called it treason. It then shut down TV stations to stop them covering the event live, and they remain off air.
British MPs and peers are to leave the Houses of Parliament for the first time since World War II. The historic Palace of Westminster is set to undergo a €4.5 billion renovation, which is expected to begin in 2025 and last up to 6 years. Despite its majestic appearance from afar, critics say the aging building is a crumbling edifice threatened by a catastrophic collapse of services. The move means work can now begin on building a replica debating chamber. MPs and peers must also be given alternative offices. The House of Lords still needs to vote on the proposal, but is expected to support the decision.
Televidente te aqui é notícia internacional. Depois de corte publicitário, nós tabeco e deporte com nosso colega Carl Reuter. Siga conosco.